Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So, this past weekend I hosted a poll on my community tab asking you guys what type of vid you wanted next, and the majority of you said you wanted to see some sort of documentary style video. Now, this is definitely not a documentary, and don't worry, that'll be coming. But there is a current event in the community recently that has sparked my interest, and I think it's the perfect catalyst to engage in a topic I've wanted to talk about for a long time. So, as I am sure most of you already know, about a year ago, top player Atomic legitimately verified the legendary 2.0 Impossible Demon, Thinking Space, and about a week ago, it received its first victor in the name of NCAT. NCAT jumped from Bloodbath as his hardest to this, solidifying himself as having the title of the biggest difficulty jump in the game's history. Now, Thinking Space has been uploaded on Atomic's account for a while, but it hasn't been rated as it is quite plainly ugly and a decoration lacking level, and most people in the community can agree on that. But, in the past month or two, there has been a growing party of people who have been pushing to get the level rated. RobTop saw this, and a few days ago, after NCAT beat it, Rob actually rated the level. As a result, a big portion of the community went berserk, arguing that the level shouldn't be rated because of how ugly it is, but there has also been a large portion of people defending its rate. On top of this, a considerable portion of the community has labeled the event unimportant, and have been throwing around the question, why does it matter if it got rated? It's just a level. Well, in this video, I want to give my thoughts on that question, and effectively argue why Thinking Space never should have been rated, and the larger problem behind the whole scenario. I want to discuss how with low effort levels like this becoming normalized, we are greatly lowering our standards and hurting the GD economy, and how the argument that it is a legendary level and that people poured their souls into beating it is ignorant and unwarranted. Of course, this entire video is all my opinion, and if you guys agree or disagree, feel free to tell me. The point of this video is definitely not to start drama, but to spread awareness of the larger but mostly unknown happenings that are occurring inside the GD economy. So with all that said, let's get into it. So, I want to start off with addressing the argument that Thinking Space is just one single level, and in the grand scheme of things, its rate doesn't really affect any of us. Now, I have seen a multitude of people saying how this is very similar to the buff this argument, in which around 2 years ago, community hate figure Boy of the Cones released a hard demon buff this that was decorated and had gameplay that was all straight fly. It got rated and the community went mad, hating on Boy of the Cones and RobTop. Now, the difference between that and this is that the problem with the buff this situation was more in the way that the community handled it than the actual rating of the level, as the level was admittedly well decorated compared to other featured section levels, and it was unique, adding more spice than not to the repertoire of rated levels in the game. But, people have been saying that the community is overreacting to Thinking Space's rate just like they did in the buff this situation. Now, I am sure there's definitely a portion of community members that are just hating to hate and haven't actually found an argument for themselves as to why Thinking Space's rate is a problem. But there are a handful of people out there who have and understand the larger implications of its rate. You see, there's a term I like to use often called the GD economy. Essentially what that term means is saying how the creating community is like an economy, and at times there will be higher quality levels than others. It's like how you could say about the real world, how's the economy doing? Except instead of talking about money, you would be talking about the amount and quality of GD levels. Now, the GD economy has been plummeting as of late, as it has been filled with these low quality, effortless, half-decorated layouts that have the tiniest bit of movement or decoration that blow up with views on YouTube. These layout trend levels started around a year ago, and they, unfortunately, show no sign of stopping. Though some of them can be cool, like Aleph Null, most of them are noticeably effortless but extremely successful on YouTube. This steady churn of unoriginal, tasteless levels that flood YouTube and the servers drown out actual good levels because of the amount of attention they get. And this forces actual quality creators to get with these trends and lower the quality of their levels as to get attention and notice from the community. Now, at this point, you might be wondering what Thinking Space and Buff This have to do with all of that. Well, every released or rated or YouTube famous level has some sort of impact on the GD economy. I would say Buff This actually had a positive impact on the GD economy, as it was a well decorated and unique level. The opposite goes for something like Thinking Space, as it is a low quality, awful to play, and all around bad level that lowers our standards even more. This is all kind of like that old Levolution trend started by Optic, and how the steady production of lesser quality levels was such a bad idea for the same reasons. Now, Thinking Space isn't the only level as of late that has been rated that shouldn't have been. Levels like EXO by Kermal are essentially structured layouts with a few cool effects, and when they get rated, they lower the common level standard even more. EXO only really got rated because it was a Kermal level, but now that it is rated, the argument that, well, if EXO can get rated, this can too, is annoyingly valid. Do you see the problem here? The more we lower our standards with the rating of huge levels like EXO and Thinking Space, the more we will progressively normalize the influx of levels like them. As those get rated and get more attention, they will push out actual good levels and take up all the community eye, creating a vicious cycle that will end up in the releasing of good levels becoming a scarce and elusive event. Hopefully you can now see how this downward spiral will impact Geometry Dash in the future, and why we need to recognize and be aware now of the future implications of these YouTube layouts and effortless levels like Thinking Space and EXO getting rated, rather than blowing them off as harmless. So, before I end the video, I just want to address a few counter-arguments that I have seen people stand behind, as I have talked to players in the community about this topic. I think the most common one is that players like Atomic and NCAT have poured their souls in tens of thousands of attempts into beating Thinking Space, and as a result their efforts should be rewarded with a star rate. Now, I don't know how Atomic and NCAT feel about this argument, but if they went in with the mindset that Thinking Space would be rated after they beat it, then they were going in with the wrong approach. I am pretty sure that Atomic didn't beat it for this purpose, though, and NCAT would have been stupid to beat it if he wanted to beat a rated level, as Rob had showed no sign of rating it for almost a year. So, let me put this into perspective. Say you made this extremely ugly level that is stupidly hard, poured 400,000 attempts into verifying it, and finally beat it. Should it get rated? It's a simple question on paper. No. But when it comes down to it actually occurring, like in Thinking Space's situation, people suddenly latch on to this ideology that if someone spends a ridiculous amount of attempts on something, no matter the decoration, it would be rated. Heck, I'd be willing to bet money that if you asked the same people arguing that Thinking Space's rate was justified because Atomic poured so many attempts into beating it the same question, out of context, about someone who made a super hard but very ugly level, they would say it shouldn't get rated. It's the same principle, but when it actually happens to a player, it's a totally different argument. Personally, I think that on behalf of the livelihood of the GD economy and preventing the normalization of the rating of bad levels, situations like this should result in the level not getting rated. But in the case of a level like Thinking Space, there's another factor and argument at play. Thinking Space is a legendary, old, impossible level. Therefore, people think it is justified that it gets rated. I have seen people argue that this has happened in the past. Levels like Tartarus and Sonic Wave have been rated because they were hard, not because they had good-looking decorations. Now, that argument is in a whole nother league. Sonic Wave is definitely not the best-looking Extreme Demon, but it is better than some other 9 Circles levels out there, and I would say it definitely deserved the star rate it got. Tartarus also falls into this category, as it is actually extremely well organized, good looking, and up to date with decoration. Though a 1.9 styled level, it manages to pull off the old hell style in a very nice, modern way, with unique ideas that enable it to at least get a star rate. Thinking Space, on the other hand, has aged horribly, looks horrendous, and brings nothing new or interesting to the table. In the words of Rory, it looks like a Dorami challenge. It genuinely looks like something a creator made after 2 months of creating. This is why I think Thinking Space shouldn't get rated, and why it is miles different from the reason Tartarus got rated. Well, there we have it. I addressed everything I wanted to talk about in this video. I really hope you guys can now see the further implications that the rate of something like Thinking Space has on the GD economy, and the situation going on behind the scenes that not many people have called out right now. I simply made this video to shed light on it and spread awareness, and I am in no way hating on the people who stand for Thinking Space being rated, even though I do strongly disagree. I hope this spreads some knowledge and just makes us all a little bit more aware the next time we endorse one of those awful YouTube layouts or the rating of something like EXO or Thinking Space. Now, just to clarify before I end, am I saying that Thinking Space's rate is going to be the end of the Geometry Dash creating economy? No, but I do think it's just another important piece in the puzzle of a trend that has been going on in the background for a while now, and I thought it would be important to call it out just for the sake of awareness. Again, I know I said I would do a documentary vid next, but I just wanted to get this video out before that because I wanted to talk about the situation with the GD economy for a while. Thank you all very much for watching regardless, and I hope you learned something from this video. Comment your thoughts below, I would love to see them. Have a nice day.